Hello and welcome back to Exothermic Plays Games. I'm Exothermic and the date today is Friday, October 18th, 2024. I've been doing a countdown of my favorite video games of all time through each day of the year, and coming in at number 75 is Advance Wars. I want to paint you a picture. It's February in 2002 in Michigan. It's like 4 degrees Fahrenheit out there, and you're 7 years old, hanging out with your siblings, trying to pass the time while waiting for your dad to finish with work after picking you up from school so you can go home. You can't go anywhere, and there's nothing to do. But hey, you have Advance Wars. This Game Boy Advance title is a turn-based tactical role-playing game focused on military conquests. There's a whole story campaign thing going on, with different factions vying for control over entire continents, and you're a new commander recruit working with one of them to achieve their goals. The campaign is actually really fun, with kooky characters that clearly have all sorts of backstory, some of which does unfold throughout, and it's really interesting how the gameplay contrasts with the almost friendly banter of the different commanders. The campaign's good. I like the campaign. You should play it. I hardly did. Remember that picture I painted? This game has local pass and play multiplayer for up to 4 players, and can also have computer players for the remainders if you don't have 4. So we'd just sit in some chairs, potentially even for hours, and just pass a Game Boy Advance around, then get in the car, and pass a Game Boy Advance around, and then get home, and pass a Game Boy Advance around, and oh no, it died. Batteries. The gameplay itself is built on a few basic ideas. For most games, you win by taking control of the opponent's headquarters, though some of the campaign missions do have alternate conditions. You get money from your HQ and each city you control, and can spend that at factories to build new units that spawn at the start of your next turn. Most units can just attack stuff, and are good at that in a variety of ways. Some can take a lot of damage, while others, like the Recon, can move really fast, giving vision of enemy actions, but die easily. Artillery can shoot really far away, even farther than it can see actually, creating for some interesting strategic opportunities, but it can't move and shoot in the same turn. Most vehicles can't move over rough terrain like mountains, and that's part of where infantry come in. You're just boots on the ground that can go lots of places, and while they generally don't shoot very hard, compared to stuff like tanks, they do have a very unique function in that that's how you capture other buildings. There's loads of maps in the game, and admittedly, some of them are unbalanced trash that make no sense at all. But a lot of them are great. Most have different neutral buildings that you can go out and claim to then fight over. The gameplay you're seeing right now is on a map called Four Corners, which has 4 really close spawn points and an airport in the middle, with loads of cities to fight over in increasingly centralized locations. A lot of the game on that map revolves around trying to gain control of the airport and then building a bomber or something to then spiral from there. It's pretty interesting, with the fighting happening really quickly and getting kind of locked in with typically one person, fighting over where you went first and then engaging with others from there. The map is fun. I like that map, especially if I just want simple game. However, even though everyone has access to the same units, it's far from being a mirror match. Each player is playing as one of several commander options, and each of them get passive bonuses and weaknesses, plus an activated ability. For example, in this game, I'm playing as Max, who gives a massive bonus to direct attacking non-infantry units like tanks. He's crazy strong, but also very, very simple. Other commanders have more interesting bonuses, like Sammy, who spawned to the north of me, and her infantry units get a 1.5 times multiplier for capturing, meaning most of the time they can even capture a city in 2 turns if they took damage between those turns even. This lets Sammy be an economic powerhouse and is pretty cool when there's lots of contested cities, like on Four Corners. Weather can also matter a lot too, like with Olaf, whose units get massive bonuses during the snow, and his special power changes the weather for 2 snow for a couple of turns. There's loads of different people you can play as, tons of them, and some are going to be better on some maps than others, that's just a fact, which makes it really interesting to try every strategy imaginable over the course of dozens to hundreds of games. Like on the maps that heavily favor air or water units, things can be really different. Overall, the game is just incredibly replayable, with loads of viable strategies, and the way the economy management is also tied into strategic positioning and zone control makes for really dynamic turns and storylines to each battle that's always exciting. Join me tomorrow as I talk about my 74th favorite game, where I played my first action RPG, and it wasn't even on PC.